Chairman yields back. Now recognize Ms. Lesko for her 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for being here to testify today. I appreciate all of your work. You know, I'm a supporter of local news. I think it's valuable, and I think we need it. I think there's a hunger in our society for just plain, unbiased news. You know, I talk to people all the time, and they're like, I've turned off the TV. I don't even watch that anymore. It just irritates me, you know? And people are just fed up. Their blood pressure is too high. And I even look around, I'm like, what is the truth? What is the truth? It's just all opinions. And so I want that. But if my taxpayer dollars and my constituents' taxpayer dollars are paying for NPR, then it should be unbiased. That's the point. And when my Democratic colleagues are passionate and say, well, Fox News is biased, well, guess what? CNN and MSN is biased too, but the point is they're not publicly funded. That's the reason we're here. We're here because we're talking about taxpayer dollars, and when my Democratic colleagues say this is a waste of time, we shouldn't be talking about this, yes, we should. We're funding this. Yeah, it's only $5 million direct funds to NPR, but as was pointed out, all of the member stations have to pay in, and guess where those member stations get the money from? Well, they get it from taxpayer dollars through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, right? And so don't tell me it's just $5 million. It's a heck of a lot more taxpayer dollars than that. And so my first question is for Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham, what accountability measures should be implemented to ensure NPR provides impartial coverage and serves a broader audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been the whole problem, as the chairman was saying, that the legislature doesn't want to sit there and listen to it. I think that a more regular hearing process would be important. It would be good for Catherine Marr to actually have to come up here and say, please explain to us why you decided the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't a story. You know, the executive that decided this, that it was a pure distraction, is now the editor of USA Today. He got promoted for that kind of news judgment. I'm not sure, other than some oversight hearings, I'm sure we don't want to have members of Congress do what we do and sit here and count minutes and seconds. But anybody who tries to do that is going to see, for example, yes, they're not covering Republican hearings. NPR doesn't want to cover Republican hearings, but they're going to give 45 hours to the January 6th committee, where the Republicans weren't even allowed to select their own members. It's not hard to figure out. Is NPR biased? Listen to it for an hour. It's not difficult to figure out. It's not rocket science. Just this morning, they were talking about the white bonus, that white people benefit from systemic racism, and we all have white privilege. There's a lot of white people in America who are like, I don't really like this story, and guess what? I don't get to speak. You know, a lot of these things, there's nobody in there to say, well, now for somebody who doesn't believe there's a defense of looting, now you get 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a problem. I think oversight hearings may be just the thing to do, but you can see from the CEO not showing up, she's not ready to handle this. She doesn't take it seriously, you know. I know she just started, but she was hired because of all these crazy tweets, right? Yeah. They didn't disqualify her. They basically qualified her when she said, well, I see why people would riot and loot.
Well, thank you for your comments. And you can see from the hemorrhaging of people that are in the middle or conservative listening to NPR that it's gotten so left-leaning and so biased that the people have given up listening to them. And that's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. And I want to help try to correct it because I do want local news. I just want the news, okay? I don't want to hear somebody's opinion. And so, Mr. Irwin, you're with the Taxpayer Union, is that?
Americans for Tax Reform.
Oh, thank you, I'm sorry. how can taxpayer funding be used as a leverage point to encourage NPR to diversify its political viewpoints? I mean, that's kind of the gist of this hearing, isn't it?
Sure. I know we're over time, but quickly, there's been a lot of talk about the intimidation of journalists and that this hearing is the intimidation of NPR journalists. There's some truth to that. You know why? Because it's federally funded, and this committee has leverage over the news coverage that NPR is going to be capable of producing. That is wrong in a free society. In a democracy, you do not have state media. That is a dystopian, totalitarian, Iron Curtain style system. But what can be done to reform? I think that these other two witnesses have mentioned some great suggestions. The decentralization is going to be a great one. The focus on local news, regular hearings, more regular oversight. The last time in 1999 when this committee did have a hearing with NPR, by the way, it was over a scandal where local affiliates were sharing donor lists with Democratic Party operatives. So, like, I mean, I think that to call it a propaganda arm for the Democratic Party, it falls a little bit short. It's more of a money laundering operation for in-kind contributions to Democratic campaigns well beyond federal election regulation limits. But, I mean, I think our suggestion is simply take away the money and make it a voluntary contribution that you can check on your tax form if you would like, and the disproportionately affluent people who do pay taxes will be able to make a contribution.
Thank you, and I yield back.